Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for February 14, 2022, the Happy Valentine's Day edition. And we begin with a story. We have 2 stories today on Credit Suisse. The first one comes to us from the Financial Times, Sam Jones reporting. In the Credit Suisse criminal trial in Switzerland, more than half a dozen senior managers, as well as its legal department, were aware a group of clients were potentially violent drug smuggling criminals, yet approved millions of euros in transfers for them before freezing their accounts. This trial, this testimony comes from a Credit Suisse co-defendant, only identified as E, who was a relationship manager for the bank, and said that she regularly briefed the bank's senior managers on the activities of her Bulgarian clients. And obviously not good for Credit Suisse, although they claim that they're going to vigorously defend this. And she said, quote, management was unruffled by the prospects of handling criminal funds. And a line manager emailed her, quote, such things inevitably happen in our business, more likely than not, especially when you are successful. Our second story about Credit Suisse comes to us from Reuters. And Elizabeth Holmes and Tina Smith, both U.S. senators, have asked the Department of Labor to deny Credit Suisse a regulatory exemption related to its management of retirement funds as a result of the DOJ settlement for bribery. The letter puts increased scrutiny on the Swiss bank, and when you couple it with the ongoing testimony that is coming out in Switzerland, the bank may have to signs of the times in the United States. Over at the New York Times, Matthew Goldstein is reporting on the trial of ex-Goldman banker who was involved in the 1MDB scandal, Roger Ng, which begins tomorrow. Comes 16 months after Goldman Sachs pled guilty to a criminal charge and paid nearly $5 billion in worldwide fines and penalties for their role in facilitating the looting of the Malaysian sovereign wealth fund by the then Prime Minister and certain others. It's going to be interesting to see as we have the principal in charge, Timothy Leisner, has pled guilty, and he is going to testify in Ng's trial. That should be some serious fireworks. And our final story comes to us from a first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News, the Honolulu Civil Beat, where a major corruption scandal has erupted on the island. The Speaker of the House in the Hawaiian State Legislature said, quote, we thought things like this only happen on the mainland. Welcome to the modern world. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.